Last time, 9:10, BBC Wiltshire. So we're heading around the Monopoly board across the station. As is part of, helping out Graham Seaman's Toy Stories campaign. More of that a little bit later on. So we're playing a great big game of Monopoly and seeing what we can find from the Monopoly board that has a Wiltshire connection. Earlier we rolled the dice.
BBC Wiltshire.
Electric Company.
And that's where we landed, on the electric company. It's, well, it seems timely, this, because in the last week we've been told the news that our electricity bills are about to go up again. Nigel Jones from the Citizens Advice in Wiltshire spoke to me last month about the impact that higher bills are likely to have.
Most of us are really only too well aware of the rising energy costs in recent years, with the average energy bill around the £1,200 mark. Now, for some households, this is a real problem, and it's estimated that there are about 5 million households who are in fuel poverty.
How do we define fuel poverty?
The definition of fuel poverty is households who are spending 10% of their income on their energy bills. Now, these are the households who really struggle with affording adequate heating, and of course, the consequent effects on their health can be really quite severe.
But who sets these energy prices? Is there any room for manoeuvre? Darcy Pace is an energy assessor who lives in Trowbridge. Hello, Darcy.
Hi there.
Good morning. Do we know how much yet these bills are going up by?
Yeah, they're going up about 8 to 9%, depending on your supplier. Two of the main suppliers have put their prices up recently, and normally the rest of them tend to follow suit shortly afterwards.
So what determines this then, the price rises? I mean, why do some companies decide to put them up and other companies either follow suit or try and undercut them?
It's all to do with the wholesale price of the raw materials, such as coal and gas, and the supply and demand of these things. Also, it's dependent on the company and their overheads and the decisions they make.
So if a power station is a gas-fired power station, they'll be paying more for their gas, and then they're going to put the price of the electricity up, for example.
Exactly, yeah.
But there does seem to be a lot of room for manoeuvre because, there are several comparison websites which will show you that, tariffs are different from company to company. Companies will change their tariffs from time to time, that you can have some control, at least, over how much you're paying.
Well, with a tariff, there's about 4,000 different tariffs, and it's very hard to compare like to like unless you use a comparison website. It's much the same as a mobile phone tariff. You can't compare one to the other very easily.
So it's not just then about the cost that the electricity or the generating companies are facing as well. It's all to do with, I guess, marketing as well.
It's marketing, and depending what tariff you go for, you might get cheaper electricity at night time or more expensive in the day if you're on an Economy 7 tariff with a night storage heating system. Or you could have a single rate and just have a flat rate throughout the day if you have a gas to do your heating.
They're extremely complicated, and potentially extremely complicated, because it strikes me that if you go on to one of the comparison websites, for example, that there always seems to be a deal that's cheaper than the one you're currently on.
Yeah, that's correct. But the best way to do it is to do regular meter readings so you don't get estimated bills. That way you have accurate billing. If you contact your energy supplier and ask them roughly how much you've used over the year, in gas and electricity, then you have a good way of starting to do a comparison. Because if you just I use roughly £80 a month instead of doing how many kilowatts you use. The energy company will tell you how many kilowatts you do, and then you can have an accurate comparison. And you can save up to about £300 if you do a comparison.
So it is, again, one of those things that's more and more in our hands, that we can rely less on what we're told and have to kind of take control over the whole thing. It's not just a bloke comes around with a torch and has a look at the reading, goes off, and you just pay your bill. It actually pays you to try and understand how it works.
Yeah, oh yes, definitely. It may seem daunting and, not very attractive to do your meter readings and stuff, but if you do them, you get much more accurate billing and you pay for what you've used.
Yeah, again, I guess that's crucial. There are several different ways to pay as well. If, for example, you just take the standard tariff of whatever company you're on, and you get your bill every quarter and you go down to the post office and you pay it that way, chances are you could probably find something cheaper just if you, for example, paid a fixed set every month by direct debit, for example. Just by doing it that way can be cheaper.
Yeah, you can get dual fuel discounts, you can get a direct debit discount, and you can get an online tariff discount as well. So that's three discounts that are available. But if on the comparison websites, this will make it a lot clearer. But the other thing is with key meters, you do pay a premium for that. But there's been a ruling saying that if you've got a key meter, you shouldn't really be paying that much of a premium. But the problem is the energy companies need to recalibrate all the meters. So if you do have a key meter, a good way to reduce your bills is to contact the energy company and ask for your key meter to be recalibrated.
Right, so you got to take control and don't, I guess the rule is there, Darcy, is don't be put off by the fact that this may seem a little daunting.
Yes, yeah, it's half an hour to 45 minutes well spent. You can save up to £300 if you approach it sensibly through a comparison website.
And I mean, I've switched a couple of times. It always it's never seemed to have been a problem. I've spoken to other people though who said that they've always had problems with who they owe what to and what date it all got transferred and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I've swapped a few times around and it seems relatively straightforward. You say, I press the button saying yes, I'll swap, and that's about all that you do. No one comes round or changes anything, and there's no visits.
Yeah, it's the same electricity that comes through, but you're just paying a different supplier. But at the point of change, it's always wise to do a meter reading so they know how much you've used up to the point where you've changed.
This idea, the reason that we can do this is deregulation, isn't it? As you say, it's the same electricity, it's just different people supplying it, and same with the gas. It's the same pipe, it comes down. It's just that the company that used to own the pipe while owning the gas, they were forced into sharing everything that they had. Sold absolutely as the idea that this would introduce more competition into the market and therefore things would be cheaper, but doesn't seem to have happened. Is it possible to say that whether gas and electricity is comparatively cheap?
Well, the thing is, it depends what tariff you are on. Again, like I said, there was 4,000 different tariffs, which just leads to mass confusion. And there is competition out there because of the amount of different tariffs. But the thing is, you can pay between 19p a kilowatt to 8.5p a kilowatt of electricity, which is a huge difference, really. And it all depends to tailor the product to your needs. Obviously, if you have a night storage heater, as opposed to a gas boiler, your needs are going to be completely different.
Do we need? I suppose we need to get this into perspective. I mean, there was a time, 100 years ago or so, when electricity was a rich man's privilege. It is now. It's like people will complain about, say, the price of beer or something, or the price of a loaf of bread, but comparative to incomes and stuff, is it still good value?
Well, yes, lots of people do use it everywhere you go. Yeah, I'd say it's okay, but then it all, like I said before, it depends on what tariff you are and how you use it. If you're using a sort of a day tariff at 22 pence to heat panel heaters, you're going to have a very, very high bill. But, you have to tailor your usage to your tariff. That's the problem, you see. I
see what you mean. So the amount of control, the way you actually choose to heat your house, the way you cook, the way, how often you put the kettle on, all that kind of stuff starts to count,
yeah.
I guess. I suspect you've got quite a popular job, haven't you, Darcy? You go and just saving people money, don't you?
This time of the year, I'm in quite high demand. But what it is the energy monitors. I'd always recommend one of those because they raise awareness on how much you're using and how much things cost.
And these are the things you kind of attach to your meter?
Yes, they are available from local libraries, or you can buy them for £30. Or if you contact your energy supplier and change to something like paperless billing, you quite often get them for free. What they do is they attach to your electric meter and they measure the amount of electricity which passes through and gives you a readout in pounds and pence what you are spending currently. So if you can sit in your lounge, look at your meter, and you're sort of spending a couple of pence an hour on your electricity. Then you flick on your electric fire and your kettle, and then it suddenly goes up to 30 pence an hour, and you can see roughly how much you're spending. And it tells you, roughly how much you're spending a month, which raises awareness and hopefully sort of conditions you to use less.
Yeah, indeed. I think, at least, that we're pretty efficient. I think a lot of people think, well, I think I'm pretty efficient. I don't have lights on in rooms that are noddy, and the house is basically dark at night, except for the rooms that you happen to be using at the time. You think about how you set your thermostat and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it still seems to be that the bills go up because you haven't got any control over the basic price of it. I mean, I guess you can be as energy efficient as you possibly can be, but your bill is still vulnerable, at least, to shifting market prices.
Yes, of course. There are ways of reducing the bill by reducing usage, not just by turning things off, but by properly insulating the home. Grants are available from your energy supplier, or if you visit the Energy Saving Trust's website, you can get, it puts you into a good direction. It just asks you for your postcode and who your supplier is. And you can get loft insulation, cavity wall insulation and such like at reduced price.
Indeed, yes, there is, of course, that whole idea of it's not just how much you use, it's how much you're losing through your roof and your drafty windows and the like as well.
Yes, definitely. Drafts account for about 15% of heat loss in a house, and there's 25% through the roof and about 35% through the walls. So if you've got your walls, your drafts and your roof sorted out and your walls, you're sort of well on the way to sort of trapping the heat inside. It's not, how hard your boiler has to work to heat your house, it's how quickly the heat leaks out of all the gaps.
Yeah, indeed. So you can, the things that you can obviously do, but you're still going to be vulnerable, say, to shifts, and if the bills go up by 8%, well, they're going to go up by 8%, but that shouldn't stop you, because there is still, as you say, a significant amount of money that you can save. Darcy, thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate your time. Darcy Pace, the extremely popular energy assessor who lives in Trowbridge, who saves people hundreds of pounds a year.
Travel. BBC Wiltshire.
Well, rather